fury of your heavy weapon, brother.
Hello guys, and welcome to another video from Oscar Cooper. I hope you are all well. Yes, there's been a bit of a delay between my videos at the moment because I'm working on a bunch of them. And yes, this in the background is Deathwing, the new Deathwing Warhammer 40k game, which was put onto the PlayStation 4 probably about 2 weeks ago. And shocker, it is not in this list. By the way, this is the top 5 sci-fi games for the PlayStation 4, according to me. There are probably going to be some, opinions on it, but I've plucked out 5. I've tried to keep the 5 as sort of genre separate as possible. I want to sort of give a nice varied spectrum of game. This is not on the list because I'm currently reviewing it. I'm actually going to pair it up with Inquisitor and do them both, compare them. Very different games, obviously, but both Warhammer. It's got some problems at the moment. I think it's probably due a patch, so yeah, it's not on this list, but it's definitely going to be featuring on the channel. And of course, I just thought I'd let a little bit of that run in the background. Without further ado, let's crack on. So this is Helldivers, and it's a bit of a staple on the channel. It's a game that I have gone back to time and time again, and I thought long and hard about putting this on the list because it's knocked a few games off. If you don't know it, it's a twin-stick sci-fi shooter, which is 4-player couch co-op and 4-player online, and it's really a testament to how good an indie studio can actually get a game and improve on it. It's an incredible tour de force of how to do couch co-op, how to do RPG elements in a twin-stick game, how to offer you a varied difference in enemy, and how to sort of add a rank-up system which blends perfectly into weapon unlocks and sort of perks and game drop-ins. This game allows you to drop in equipment in-game, and it's a very important aspect of the game, and we'll look at that in a bit more detail in a second. You can have mechs, you can have shotguns, you can have laser weapons, you can have jetpacks. Jetpacks are confirmed. And there's just something Starship Troopery about it that keeps bringing me back. The enemies are really amazing. I played a game online actually for this purpose of this review, and I was like, I'm not going to muck about, I'm going to go right in on the hard stuff. Oh my god, this mission lasted 20 minutes. We all die. What happens is if you all die at the same time, it's game over. But if one of you's still alive, you can call in the other one, and that can relay. The other one can call in another one. So as long as there's someone around, you can keep calling each other in. This was a nail biter, and I was fighting enemies that I hadn't seen before as well, because it was a challenging mission. It wasn't a hell dive mission, which is the full difficulty. It was a challenging mission. I mean, it was absolutely unbelievable. It was absolutely brilliant. I was exhausted by the end of it, and it was brilliant to get all this cool XP. And it was really cool to be looked after by these randoms. There's friendly fire, so you can't be an asshole in this game, and I really love that idea that it's, it really makes sure that you look after everyone. So number 5 is Helldivers. What a cracking game. If you've been a fan of the channel for a while, you know this game ripped out my heart and stamped on it on the ground and then spat on it and then walked away and said, fuck you. Bring it up with Sean Murray. This is the next update, so it's No Man's Sky next. Obviously this is very recent, and I sort of dived straight in to see what's going on. I actually am very much enjoying it, and one of the main additions is the third person view in all aspects, be it on your character or be it in the ships, etc., which I feel works very well. They've changed a bit of stuff around with the crafting, which will take some getting used to, and they've also pumped in a huge amount of single player content, and it's true multiplayer, and I can confirm that. I've had people coming up to me, all kinds of randoms. It's quite busy. They've also injected quite a lot more in the station, so there's a lot more to do, there's a lot more traders, and there's a lot more detail on the ships as well. That's really welcome. I think flying the ship in third person view is really awesome, and there's some planets that I found a planet that was just water, and there's something really 80s about this color palette, don't you think? And it just felt awesome. It was almost like having a game and looking at it from another angle, but still with its core mechanics. No Man's Sky is not where it should be. It never will be where it should be. What with the E3, that infamous E3 demo, but with this they've added an incredible amount of stuff. Absolutely incredible. It is really busy. It is like Far Cry busy, like with stuff going on. I love the underwater stuff with the third person. That works very well, and I think the game is definitely worth going back to. I mean, it was worth going back to with the Atlas Rising update. But this is something completely new, completely different, and I think they timed it really well with the Xbox launch of the game as well. I'm really interested to hear feedback on this game, guys. If you've tried it and hated it and walked away and not gone back, or if you've never played it and you think, do I, don't I, definitely go back to it. I loved it so much, when it was having a difficult time, but of course it was so broken that I just couldn't stick with it. But now it's really worth a look. Xcom 2, go and give it to you. What a game. What a cheesy opening line as well. Sorry about that. But Xcom 2, big fan of Xcom 1. Obviously I'm a closet PC gamer, so I know all about the Xcom series. And if you don't know anything about this at all, it's a turn-based game with permadeath in, with a lot of resource management in regards to base management, upgrading your research and developing weapons for your troops. You select a platoon to go out and fight on various missions that are on a map, and you sort of can choose them, and things tick over in real time. It's a bit like Civilization or any other sort of game that has a clock in it, that if you spend too long mucking around and not doing the main missions, things are going to get out of hand. But XCOM 2, I think, does a lot of sci-fi stuff right. The weapons are really amazing. The aliens are really amazing, and the sort of unlocks and upgrades, and you can actually get the alien technology and have it on your side and start having massive alien like assault weapons and stuff. But this is how it looks. It's an asymmetric turn-based game. That's the be-all and end-all of it. I mean, it always has been very tactical, very military-based. You have to think about things, and there's permadeath in it, and that's difficult. What I mean is, if one of your players dies that you spent 2 months ranking up and naming and giving like special armor bits to, and then they die in game, that is over, and so you have to keep referring back to a load file if you fuck up, and I find that difficult. But I love this game. I love this port as well on the PlayStation 4. It looks really good. The controls work as well, and also I don't want to forget to mention this has got some DLC for it that is really strong, and it's like a whole standalone game in itself. And if you've been through this game and not thought, oh, I better look at that DLC, go straight for that. It's really amazing. The name of it escapes me, to be honest with you, but I have gone back in with that DLC, and it's been like a whole new game. So XCOM 2, number 3 on the list. Things are hotting up. We're getting to second on the list, so hold on to your hats. Yes, it's time for Prey, a game that had a bit of a rocky ride in development, got passed around, ended up in the lap of Bethesda, and it got a makeover by the guys that did Dishonored, and Dishonored's a very strong stealth game, first person, and Prey is also extremely strong. Sci-fi wise, there's nothing wrong with this. The set pieces are incredible. This bit's very, very much Bioshock reminds me of, but it's an extremely convoluted story. It's got one of the twistiest opening hours to a game I've ever played. It grabs you by the nuts and just says you're coming on this roller coaster with us. It's incredible how well they've done the intro to this game. It's also incredible how well they have laid out this derelict atmosphere and how you're sort of piecing together what's really happened. It's extremely story based, but at the same time it's an incredible first person shooter and crafting and story game with some great characters in, and some really cool machines and mechanics and crafting elements, and just things to upgrade and find, and secrets and bits of story to find, in the tapes that you find knocking around. The enemies are really kind of what make this game for me. They're called mimics, and as you can see, that thing just hurtled over that table, and what it's going to do is it's going to turn into an inanimate object, right? And if you haven't clocked all the inanimate objects in that room, you're going to have to go and whack each object to find out what it's turned into, or it will just spring out in front of you when it's swung around. It is such a good idea. It's like a memory game where you're like, whoa, where did that thing go? What did it turn into? It's got some really cool weapons as well. There's actually a foam gun, which is what the game sort of hangs itself on. It's a gun that sort of spits out a solid foam that allows you to either sort of move to a secret area or a next area in the game, or more importantly, just get the enemies to stay still so that you can either escape them or do something environmentally to them. That's another aspect of the game. It's big on combining things things in the environment to actually help you beat these things. And these things are really scary. It's really well done, how they appear, how they sound, how they look, and combining different stuff like this canister down here. I need to get through here, so I need to pop this with a bullet to open up that door. It's got a really cool progression. And here's a great example. This is like a theatre, and I'm looking through this screen, and this poor guy manages to escape up there using the foam gun, and then this big boy staring at me through the glass, and he's obviously just, you know, clocked me for later in the game. It's really good the way it drops these breadcrumbs of story. Atmospherically, it's doing incredibly well. I compare this to a game like Alien Isolation. Alien Isolation should kind of be on this list. I let it slip because I look at it as a survival horror, but these two are on a par with atmospherics and how great they actually play that derelict, desolate space station aspect. Prey and Alien Isolation are two incredible games on that genre. I wouldn't build it as a survival horror though, because you've got guns and explosives, and you can whack stuff in the face with your wrench, and yeah, there's a lot more going on in that respect, and I prefer that really. The fact that it's not got Geiger's Alien in is a hit that I'm prepared to take. What I enjoyed about it is these things that are called, I can't remember what they're called, they're called nano somethings, and what you do is you inject them into your suit or yourself. You have to forgive me, one of the two, and it unlocks different upgrades in your suit, and the infantry management is really detailed. There's almost, you know what Bethesda are like with their stupid things that they leave lying around that you're not sure if they're going to help you or not, so you end up picking up everything, and I've got sort of 16 orange peels and a banana skin and a baseball glove, and it's like, why? But there's a bit of that in there, but there's a really cool perk tree as well. You can see here some awesome perks to be had in this game. There's actually a bullet time slow-mo option as well, like Matrix time, where you just clasp the trigger and everything slows down and you can pop off the enemies with precision. Ammunition is not too scarce, but it's scarce enough to make sure that you'd much rather use an environment or use some other aspect other than one of your bullets to take one of these enemies down. And they're everywhere, and they hide and they jump out and they chase you, and incredible really how well done this game is. And also at the moment it's actually advertising this new DLC. This new DLC won some awards at E3, I think. If you have a look on the reviews or what people are saying about the new DLC for Prey, it is getting absolutely praised because it's so damn good. There's so much here with this game. I overlooked this for nearly a year. I was like, yeah, I'll get to it, and then I bought it about 6 months ago, probably less than that, and I was just so sucked into it. And to tell you the truth, it's kind of an inspiration for the video, because I was thinking this is one of the best sci-fi games I've ever played. If you're a regular, then I apologise, because Horizon Zero Dawn ends up at the end of my lists way too much, but you know, there's good reason for that. It is the best sci-fi game in my eyes because of how well they've done that open world, the backstory, that sort of apocalyptic future that you find yourself in. They've stripped everything away and given you it almost feels like a medieval game with these incredibly awesome AI of dinosaurs and creatures that are set in a world that's full of lore, that's full of interesting stories. The main character is amazing. She looks amazing. She sounds amazing. Her backstory is amazing. Grabbing mounts is really, really awesome. And you go into these areas called corrupted zones, or in the main story, you go into these big metal. I didn't get any footage of. They're big metal caves, which hide all these secrets about what the hell happened here and why the world is like this, and they're incredible. They're like metal hives, and they've got all this machinery making other machinery. You go and find out, you know, who's making these robots and why they're being made, and on a sci-fi level, I mean, this is like a film with the amount of depth and richness that it gives you. to top that all off, it's got one of the smoothest, natural feeling combat systems in a game to date. It just feels incredible. I mean, it was such a nail biter before this game came out, whether it was going to promise on what it delivered, and it's just so cool that it did everything that it was supposed to, and did it better than we could have possibly imagined. Horizon Zero Dawn will go down as one of the most awesome games on the system. I mean, it utilizes the Pro so well. HDR is done so well. The granular detail on the graphics are just so noticeable when you put this on a Pro. The lighting and just the way everything moves within that world. And let's go back to that world. I mean, it's populated with such interesting stuff, and the way that these monsters and machines exist in the world, it feels completely autonomous, like that you don't need to be there. And I think that's a really important. There's a very few games that do that, that make you feel like this world exists without you, and that's when you know you've got something right. I'm going to leave you with some extended combat here. I'm not going to harp on through this, but just to show you how incredibly fun this game is, and how much joy and tension there is fighting or bringing down these big monsters. Absolutely incredible. So my number one sci-fi PlayStation 4 game is, of course, Horizon Zero Dawn. And as always, guys, I shall see you down there. I've got 2 more videos in the pipeline. Don't worry, they'll be out really soon. Shout out to Michael and shout out to Sean, 2 of my regulars. Thank you guys for all the support recently, and sorry I didn't get this out sooner. I'll see you later.